reading the press coming from America and England and Europe. They describe you as the new the female Michael Jackson. Have you read that?
No, I haven't read that.
Well, they have said that.
I've heard some other comparisons, but that's nice. That's flattering.
Not bad, is it?
I felt good about it.
Did you attended this with Michael Jackson, of course? Was this something you guys sat down and plotted out beforehand and said we're just going to knock everybody's socks off?
No, we started working together, and I didn't have a date for the Academy Awards.
A comment in itself on our culture.
Absolutely. And I said, well, and Michael was like, well, who are you going to go with? And I looked at him, I said, I don't know, you want to go? And he said, yeah, that'd be great.
Did he pick you up at your house? It was one of those deals?
No, he didn't pick me up at my house because I was already there. I had to do a run-through of the show right before the show, so I was there ready. So he came and hung out backstage and then went out and watched the show and my performance, and then I came and sat down.
So now, afterwards, after the show and everything, did you and Michael go home together? Or what happened?
Well, no, we went to Spago.
Yeah.
There was a big party. We stayed there for hours and hours and hours. And then, yes, he took me home. And now what do you want to know? What happened after that?
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you.
Okay, all right.
I think we read books, though, quite frankly. We were looking at... I have tons of books on photography.
Yeah.
So that sticks out in my mind.
What had you been working on? You've done a song with him for his next album, I think, right?
Well, we're working on a song.
Yeah.
It's not... I'm a perfectionist. He's a perfectionist, and I'm glad to be working with him, just to have the experience.
Yeah.
He's a great musical talent. But we're going to wait and finish it, and then go. Okay, do we want to do this? Does he want to put it on his album? Is that the next musical statement I want to make?
This won't be like thousands of lawyers coming in to discuss it, will it?
No, actually, the business aspect has already been taken care of. This is purely a creative question right now.
There's a part in the movie where you mentioned that you're attracted to emotionally crippled people.
Yeah.
In a way, and so I've always thought maybe Michael just sort of fits in there. Is that fair to say something like that?
Well, I mean, when I said I was attracted to emotionally crippled people, I didn't name any names. I mean, the thing is, I'll be the first one to raise my hand and say I am an emotional cripple. I mean,
You yourself?
Absolutely. I mean, when I say emotional cripples, I mean people that are very needy in some way or another, people that are fully evolved human beings. And no, I'm not, but I'm working on it. And I think most performers or entertainers or actors are emotionally crippled in some way or another. I think that's one of the reasons we seek out other people's approval in the business that we are. That's why we are entertainers, quote unquote. That's why we are actors playing out different roles, I think most actors, performers, singers, whatever, are emotionally crippled in some way or another.
But you and Michael Jackson, now you see, I would be at a loss to talk to Michael Jackson as you're driving in the limo and all that traffic. What do you talk about with Michael Jackson?
What do we talk about? Well, first I beg him not to wear sunglasses. And of course he complies.
Of course.
I'm stronger than he is.
That's right.
And then we exchange powder puffs.
So you both look wonderful.
We both powder our noses and we compare bank accounts. I don't know.
Dynamite guy.
Yeah, he's great.
And he's
great.
Naturally, everybody was looking at the twosomes as they walked up.
I know.
You guys got the most recognition. Let's face it, two of the superstars of our time.
Yeah.
You, Michael Jackson, but as we've talked about you changing your image, are you going to change Michael Jackson's image? There has been speculation about that.
I know. When I guess, we've become friends and we were speaking of working together, and we're not working together right now. I mean, I was going to do a song with him on his new album that's coming out. And we got together, and I can't help it. You can see how I am with the dancers. I sort of have to get my hands in there and go, oh, you should do this, you should wear that, you should cut your hair, you should do... you know, and I gave him a lot of books to read and director's reels, and I wanted, because I think he's very talented, but I felt that he needed to be exposed to more things than he had been exposing himself to, so I tried to have an influence on him. I don't know if he's going to heed any of my advice. After all, he's done pretty well for himself without me, so.
Would you have to be the boss in any relationship?
In a professional relationship?
In a personal relationship?
The boss. No, I don't want to be the boss all the time. I would like to be with someone who is my equal, so it's a back and forth kind of a thing. You know, sometimes they're in charge, sometimes I'm in charge. You know, it's a compromise. Happy birthday.
Jackson was all smiles in the car, but on these tapes, he reveals that the Material Girl's saucy ways felt more than a little dangerous.
Like a library book of women who are tied to walls. I think he was well, I think she liked shots that I used. Madonna laid the law down when we went out. I am not going to do this. Okay, that's out. But I didn't ask you to do. Okay, we're going to the restaurant. Afterwards, we're going to a strip bar. I am not going to a strip bar. Where they cross guys or girls. I am not going to. Just afterwards, she wrote some mean things about a friend, and I said this is a nasty.
Michael's tough on Madonna in the book, and he seems to be saying that the reason is that Madonna tried to drag him into a world of prurience, and maybe there was somewhat of a rivalry between them.
Whether it was a true rivalry or not, Jackson does paint Madonna as envious when he talks about jealousy in Hollywood.
They admire you and know you're wonderful and great, but they're jealous because they wish they were in your place, wish they were in your shoes. And M is one of them. Madonna, she's not a nice. She hasn't been kind. Absolutely. She's a woman, and I think that's what bothers her. Women don't screen for other women, and men are too cool to screen for women. Yeah. And I get that. I get the fainting and the adulation and the notoriety that she doesn't. She can't get that.
Madonna and Jackson are what you'd call showbiz pals, sharing an only in Hollywood date to the Academy Awards back in 1991. Still friends?
Oh, I haven't talked to him in ages.
Did you see the documentary?
I didn't. I heard about it. Everybody was talking about it at one point and describing scenes to me. It just sounds horrifying. I wouldn't want to watch it.
Horrifying in what way?
Oh, it just sounds so exploitive. So, I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like people humiliating other people like that. It doesn't seem right and fair.
You said this, publicly humiliating someone for your own gain, which is, I think, what you feel Martin Bashir may have done, will only come back to haunt you. I can assure you, all these people will be sorry. God's going to have his revenge.
Michael Jackson was born in August 1958. So was I. Michael Jackson grew up in the suburbs of the Midwest. So did I. Michael Jackson had 8 brothers and sisters. So do I. When Michael Jackson was 6, he became a superstar and was perhaps the world's most beloved child. When I was 6, my mother died. I think he got the shorter end of the stick. I never had a mother, but he never had a childhood. And when you never get to have something, you become obsessed by it. I spent my childhood searching for my mother figures. Sometimes I was successful. But how do you recreate your childhood when you are under the magnifying glass of the world for your entire life? There is no question that Michael Jackson was one of the greatest talents the world has ever known. That when he sang a song at the ripe old age of 8, he could make you feel like an experienced adult was squeezing your heart with his words. That the way he moved had the elegance of Fred Astaire and packed the punch of Muhammad Ali. that his music had an extra layer of inexplicable magic that didn't just make you want to dance, but actually made you believe that you could fly, dare to dream, be anything that you wanted to be. Because that is what heroes do, and Michael Jackson was a hero. He performed in soccer stadiums around the world. He sold hundreds of millions of records. He dined with prime ministers and presidents. Girls fell in love with him. Boys fell in love with him. Everyone wanted to dance like him. He seemed otherworldly, but he was also a human being. Like most performers, he was shy and plagued with insecurities. I can't say we were great friends, but in 1991, I decided I wanted to try and get to know him better. I asked him out to dinner. I said, "My treat, I'll drive, just you and me." He agreed and showed up to my house without any bodyguards. We drove to the restaurant in my car. It was dark out, but he was still wearing sunglasses. I said, "Michael, I feel like I'm talking to a limousine. Do you think you could take off those glasses so I can see your eyes?" He paused for a moment. Then he tossed the glasses out the window, looked at me with a wink and a smile and said, "Can you see me now? Is that better?" In that moment, I could see both his vulnerability and his charm. The rest of the dinner, I was hell-bent on getting him to eat French fries, drink wine, have dessert, and say bad words. Things he never seemed to allow himself to do. Later, we went back to my house to watch a movie, and we sat on the couch like two kids. And somewhere in the middle of the film, his hand snuck over and held mine. It felt like he was looking for a friend more than a romance, and I was happy to oblige him. And in that moment, he didn't feel like a superstar. He felt like a human being. We went out a few more times together, and then for one reason or another, we fell out of touch. Then the witch hunt began. And it seemed like one negative story after the other was coming out about Michael. I felt his pain. I know what it's like to walk down the street and feel like the whole world is turned against you. I know what it's like to feel helpless and unable to defend yourself because the roar of the lynch mob is so loud that you are convinced your voice can never be heard. But I had a childhood, and I was allowed to make mistakes and find my own way in the world without the glare of the spotlight. When I first heard that Michael had died, I was in London, days away from the opening of my tour. Michael was going to perform in the same venue as me a week later. All I could think about in that moment was, I had abandoned him, that we had abandoned him, that we had allowed this magnificent creature that once set the world on fire to somehow slip through the cracks. While he was trying to build a family and rebuild his career, we were all busy passing judgment. Most of us had turned our backs on him. In a desperate attempt to hold on to his memory, I went on the internet to watch old clips of him dancing and singing on TV and on stage. And I thought, my God, he was so unique, so original, so rare. And there will never be anyone like him again. He was a king. But he was also a human being. And alas, we are all human beings. And sometimes we have to lose things before we can truly appreciate them. I want to end this on a positive note and say that my sons, age 9 and 4, are obsessed with Michael Jackson. There's a whole lot of crotch grabbing and moonwalking going on in my house. And it seems like a whole new generation of kids has discovered his genius and are bringing him to life again. I hope that wherever Michael is right now, he is smiling about this. Yes. Yes, Michael Jackson was a human being, but damn it, he was a king. Long live the king.
How important was it for you to be here to honor Michael?
Extremely important because
I really didn't have my chance to pay my last respects to him or speak of him in the way that I wanted to. So it was a privilege and an honor for me to.
Now, you all have always had a lot to say about these sexual abuse allegations of Michael Jackson since the release of the documentary Leaving Neverland. Now, Madonna is also weighing in.
Yeah, so Madonna is on the cover of British Vogue, and she says she isn't going to take the claims the alleged victims make at face value. She tells the magazine, "I don't have a lynch mob mentality, so in my mind, people are innocent until proven guilty. I've had 1,000 accusations hurled at me that are not true, so my attitude when people tell me things about people is, can you prove it?"
Yeah, now when the writer asked Madonna, what would she interpret as proof? Madonna said this, "I don't know. I haven't seen the film, but I guess it would be people recounting actual events. But then, of course, people sometimes lie. So I always say, what's the agenda? What do people want out of this? Are there people asking for money? Is there some kind of extortion thing happening? I would take all of those things into consideration."